This is our benchmark review for honors biology. I'm going to look at Ms. Suarez's note sheet, and from there I'll start, making all the points and everything you need to know. A lot of these things are a bit complex, and some of these we only spent maybe like 10 minutes on. So I'll try my best to, break everything down. First things first, the question is, what is the full formula for cellular respiration and photosynthesis? Okay, so the formula for cellular respiration is exactly the same as photosynthesis, surprisingly, right? So the formula for photosynthesis, let's first do that. Okay, it's going to be 6, right? 6 CO, which stands for carbon dioxide, with 6 H2O, which stands for water. H2O is water. With light energy, creates C6H12O6 plus 6O2. This in itself is glucose, and this in itself is oxygen. So this is the general equation for photosynthesis, right? And each part is a main component in taking care of a plant, and in return creates this. As you can tell with the plant, you need carbon dioxide, they need water, they need light energy, right? And they need glucose, and they create glucose and oxygen. Plus energy, but actually no, not energy, my bad, not energy. That's for cellular respiration. Now, you also need to understand that this is an endothermic reaction. Photosynthesis, I want to make sure you guys understand that. Photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. Now, what does that mean? Endothermic, in a simple term, is that what did I say? Endothermic reactions absorb heat from their surroundings and feel cold. Just to put into perspective, is that photosynthesis requires energy from outside sources, right? They require energy from outside sources, and they take in heat. Okay? The reaction of the actual photosynthesis is cooler than the outside, right? Because photosynthesis requires sunlight, so it requires heat. It requires carbon dioxide, which is hot, by the way. It requires carbon dioxide. It requires all these things, and it makes it endothermic. Which makes it endothermic, which means it takes in heat. So, takes in heat. Okay, remember that. And there was also something with oil rig. If you guys don't know what oil rig is, it basically means oxidation and reduction, right? Now, the word itself seems kind of wrong in a sense, because reduction seems like the loss of something, but reduction is the gain of electrons, while oxidation is the loss of electrons. Now, photosynthesis is an is a redox process, right? And redox basically means it's a reduction process, meaning it it isn't. It's reduction or oxidation. So it's actually a redox process, which means it's a bit of both, right? It reduces the water to make oxygen, while it oxidizes the water to get oxygen, aka losing the electrons. and CO2 gets reduced to carbohydrates. But in general, it's a reduction. Generally, it's a reduction. Okay, so that's the main part. Now let's look at photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the exact same equation as cellular respiration, but instead it's reversed, right? So let me write that down real quick. It is 6 CO2, which is carbon dioxide. 6 H2O, which is water, creates, okay? Oh, wait, no. I was saying, this is wrong, my bad. Oh, my bad. Alright, it's actually C6, okay, that's a C. C6H12O6 plus 6O2. This is glucose, and this is oxygen. This creates 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy, which we're going to call ATP. Okay? But you could just say energy for this. I'm just going to do energy so it's easier. Okay? And this makes sense, right? The glucose is broken down, creates ATP, right? And we exhale oxygen and we release sweat, aka water, right? Now this is a exothermic reaction. It releases heat. It doesn't take in heat like photosynthesis. It releases, right? So that's why you feel hot after, a long workout or something, right? That is why it's called exothermic. It releases heat. Okay, that's a general idea for both of them. And also, this is a oxidation, right? It's the loss of electrons because you're losing those glucose and everything to basically create this. But it's honestly, both of them is a mix of redox, oxidation and reduction. But I don't think she's going to genuinely ask that. So just worry that it's exothermic or endothermic. Now, the next topic is autotrophs and heterotrophs. Mind you, this video will be split into portions. I will be doing, in this video, it's going to be up till, okay, we're going to do up till sexual and asexual versus asexual reproduction. And then after that, I will do the rest. And first, we need to work on autotrophs and heterotrophs. Okay, this is a really easy thing, and I don't want to delve so into it because it's really, really easy. Autotrophs create their own foods, while heterotrophs get their foods from others. Okay, I'm going to find a quick definition because I do not want to. Okay, autotrophs get their own food, or create their own food. So, aka plants. And then heterotrophs gets food from other organisms. Alright, that's a general idea, right, when it comes to autotrophs and heterotrophs. And I'm not going to dive so deep into this. We have a lot more complex topics here, and this is probably the last one that we're going to genuinely worry about. Okay. Next up, relationship between photosynthesis and climate change. Now, I really can't explain this while drawing, so I want you guys to listen here. Okay? The relationship between photosynthesis and climate change is quite strong. As you already know, photosynthesis requires the intake of CO2, right? Photosynthesis needs CO2. And, well, greenhouse gases emitted from our cars, our planes, and everything releases CO2, which usually is fine, right? Our planet naturally releases CO2 through volcanoes, through animals, through many different natural processes. And then the photosynthesis, the plants, the algae, all the protists around us take in the CO2 and creates photosynthesis. And it's a fairly equal kind of system, right? One animal releases CO2, another plant takes it in. And that just happens on a global scale. But as we humans went to the Industrial Revolution with the creation of cars, planes, trucks, automobiles, gassing, electricity, they start pumping out more more and more greenhouse gases, aka CO2. Now, we also started cutting down trees and other wildlife that causes photosynthesis to occur. This creates an imbalance, right? This causes there to be more CO2 than the photosynthesis can actually use. So for every 10 tons of CO2 emitted, only a few thousand trees are viable compared to 1,000 with 1,000. There's an imbalance of the amount of CO2 with the amount of plants that can actually take in that CO2 and create into and use it for good and release O2. This is why there's so much climate change. This is why there's so much greenhouse gases, because the relationship with photosynthesis and climate change are so connected that if we were to destroy it like we are doing now, there's going to be such an imbalance, and that's going to ultimately, with the amount of CO2 that happens, with the amount of CO2 that's going to be released, okay, it makes the planet hotter. Remember when I said that photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction? It takes in the heat. Since there isn't enough wildlife to provide photosynthesis, all that extra heat starts laying around and makes the earth warmer as we speak. So that's the relationship between photosynthesis and climate change. Now we're going to talk about the negative global outcomes of climate change. Now, as we already told you, climate change causes heat increase. Remember when I talked about photosynthesis and endothermic? I literally just talked about it a second ago. Go back if you have to. Because of these increased heat, which may be a few Celsius, maybe 1 or 2, it actually has a devastating impact because the world isn't used to that, right? Earth is a sensitive being. Something as simple as a 1 or 2 Celsius increase can literally cause entire glaciers to melt. So all of these glaciers start to melt, and the glaciers hold a ton of water. So when they all melt, they actually rise the sea levels. So one of the negative outcomes of climate change is increased sea levels. Secondly, because of climate change, it becomes so hot, or it can cause so much issues throughout the environment because of natural disasters, rapid heat in some areas, rapid coolness in some areas, that species, unlike us, we are able to adapt very easily. We humans are lucky for that. Other animals cannot. They either get overheat, they can't get suited to these natural disasters, that they become threatened, and slowly over time, they become extinct. Now, to follow up with that, there's an increased amount of natural disasters due to climate change, right? Because of how much water is being released, that causes so much changes with the weather, right? Like because of how much heat is being increased, there's so much droughts, there's so much hot days, right? And because of all the water that's being released, there's massive tsunamis and earthquakes shifting the tectonic plates. This in turn releases to so much natural disasters, ending up taking thousands and thousands of lives. Okay, that's the general gist of a few bullet points that I just said. Our next topic is going to be greenhouse effects. So the greenhouse effect, to sum it up, is when the sun's... okay, this is a really good diagram right here. Okay, most of the heat... okay, so where's that image, right? Some of the sunlight that hits Earth is reflected. Some becomes heat. So let me draw a sun right here. Right? This is our Earth. And the sun rays pulls up, right? And some of the sun rays that happens get bounced off, right? So some of that heat just bounces off, while other is taken in, right, and becomes heat. Now, something called the atmosphere, aka, to be more specific, the ozone layer, right? The ozone layer keeps it, acts as so this is our ozone layer. Okay? The ozone layer, what it does is it protects, the sun is extremely hot. You understand that, right? The sun is stupidly hot, and the amount of heat that it puts into Earth is incredible. If we had no ozone layer, we would probably be cooked, and we would never existed. Right? Luckily, the ozone layer and the atmosphere is there to bounce off some of that heat. In fact, a lot of that heat, which then allows for certain amounts of heat to come in through the sun, which allows it to be a comfortable living space. Now, remember, there is a natural greenhouse effect, right? Natural greenhouse effect. And I'm showing it to you right now, where sunlight is taken in and sunlight is taken out. And all that CO2 and greenhouse gases is coming from the atmosphere and from the sun. Now, let's say we're in a modern time zone with all these cars and everything. Then these cars, these planes, all these stuff, they start releasing their own CO2, own CH4, and own chlorophyll, all these wrong things, right? And this causes a lot of heat. That's heat that's already being created by Earth, okay? And then the solar heat comes in and it takes in even more heat. This is a demanding amount of energy for the atmosphere and causes less energy to be escaped. Okay? So that's the greenhouse gases. This is a little bit of a more, not that important topic, to be honest, because this is really not that impactful. Just understand the sun comes in, right? Sunlight bounces off, sun turns the heat, and greenhouse gases controls that. But as we modern humans release so much CO2 and so much pollution in the air, it becomes a lot harder for heat to escape, causing the earth to be warmer. That's just a general gist of it. Okay, our next topic is the causes and effect, which is the greenhouse gases. The cause of this is the earth becomes warmer, which causes all these climate change disasters. Correlation in science. This is so weird. I don't know why she asked that. Okay. Correlation is just the connection of something. The mutual relationship between two things, especially specifically like variables, like the correlation of a trait in a phenotype or the correlation of the population. Correlation is just a connection between two, the association. I do not even know why she asked it. That's so unnecessary. Okay, the next topic, definitely needs some help. It's the general steps of photosynthesis, the inputs and outputs of each step. Okay? Ooh, Nikki, this is going to be a big one. Okay. So, we already know what photosynthesis equation is. Let's first define what are the inputs of photosynthesis. So, one of the inputs is water. Another is oxygen. And the final one is light energy. These three, in turn, create photosynthesis. And its output is glucose. Oh, wait, nope. This is not oxygen. This is supposed to be CO2. Carbon dioxide. Light energy. And this in return equals glucose and oxygen. Okay? This is the gist of photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis, light reaction. Alright. Now, the general idea of photosynthesis should not be difficult for you guys to understand. Now, here's how it works. This is I should make this green, bro. I'm just stupid. Right? This is our stroma. Right? This is where all the photosynthesis takes place. What happens is light reaction. This is the light reaction part. Okay? H2O comes in. Okay? With the light reactions. Remember, these are the parts that make photosynthesis. H2O is another term for water. Please note that. Okay? And it goes through some machine, this system, right? And it pops out O2. That's one of our byproducts, by the way. Right? And because of this, right, it also releases some energy, ATP. This reaction of light reaction to H2O to make O2, it releases some energy, which is then used with electron carriers, which is NADPH, with electron carrier to be part of the dark reaction. And now the dark reaction is basically the Calvin cycle, where it takes the CO2, right, and it turns it into glucose. And this requires the energy of that ATP, right? That ATP and the electron carrier is required, which then causes it to make ADP, which is the no energy version of ATP, and an empty carrier. So that's the general gist of photosynthesis. It looks a little bit complex, and I should have used different colors, but I'm kind of lazy, and I have a lot to cover right now. So, genuinely speaking, even if I tried, I don't think I'll be able to do that. So, all that happens is water and light reactions go through a machine, which creates oxygen, which is one of our byproducts. It also creates ATP and electron carrier. These electron carriers and ATP is then used in the dark reaction. they take in CO2 to create glucose with the ATP and the electron carrier, which in return uses them up and just creates an empty carrier and ADP, which is a non-unenergized ATP. Okay, that's the general gist of photosynthesis. I cannot go any deeper or else it will take way too long, and I don't think we need to go that deep into it. Okay, the last topic for this video specifically, I'll make the next one just right after this, is sexual and asexual reproduction. Oh, Dicky. Oh, man. Oh, God, there's so many damn topics. What the hell? Steps of mitosis and meiosis. Ocean acidification, bro, what? Okay, sexual and asexual reproduction. This is gonna be it. Okay, sexual reproduction needs a mommy and a daddy. We're two different. Okay, this is the mommy and this is the daddy. I don't know why he looks so weird. The woman has cancer. This is the woman, by the way. This is the dude. The dude has long hair. This is the family. They're two different and they make child. Alright, they make a child. He looks absolutely disgusting, aka Hirok. I'm kidding. Haha. Okay, and they make a child. That's sexual. Two parents. Okay, is sexual. That's sexual reproduction. That's basically you. If you have two parents, you did sexual reproduction. Now, asexual is where you take one cell, let's say this is bacteria, and they duplicate, so it's almost like they duplicate, and they just make a duplicate of themselves. That's asexual, right? There's no second guy to help you. Wait, that sounds so wrong. But they just duplicate themselves, right? Now, the benefit for each. Sexual reproduction creates genetic diversity, okay? Which allows a less likelihood of diseases, less sick, right? So less diseases because of the genetic diversity. If one parent has it and the parent doesn't have it, most likely, if it's a recessive gene, the disease, or an unlikely gene, the child probably will have it. Asexual this is one of the benefits there. Another benefit is mutations over time and evolution, which can help. The same thing happens with asexual reproduction, where there's evolution, but it takes a lot longer because it's always a photocopy of the original. So it takes a lot longer for evolution and changes and mutations in the actual cell. So that's one main key factor. One good thing about sexual reproduction is a lot could be made at the time, which allows growth of a population, and it also allows for constant checkingness and a constant supply of a population. So if anything happens to it, there's probably a likelihood of that bacteria to still survive throughout because of the sexual reproduction, and they don't need another guy to help them. So that's a general census for sexual and asexual reproduction. This is the end of part 1, you guys. Okay, I know I went a little rushed on this one, but I'm telling you, there's so much I need to explain that I physically cannot let myself to go any further. This is video 1. That's everything for video 1. It's not that complex, the first few. I'm going to start for the next one, starting from proteins can do gene regulation all the way to define isomers. And the last video will be the final one. So there's going to be a 3-step video. This is the first one, and it's over. Thank you guys for watching, and go to the next video.